Okay, welcome to the February 11th Board of Selectmen meeting. Call the meeting to order. First order of business is minutes from the previous meeting.
I'll move the minutes. as
Second.
written.
All those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. New business. Confirm appointment of Joseph Crocker as Raymond Rec Director. Who's,
I'm doing it.
okay?
Okay.
Thank you, Rolf. And so I'm very pleased to introduce, welcome, and recommend Joseph A. Crocker for appointment as Raymond's first Recreation Director, which is very exciting news for us. Joseph is a very experienced professional with advanced educational credentials in recreation management. He worked previously in progressively more responsible positions, starting in Saco, then Kennebunk, Auburn, and Lewiston. He's a graduate of St. Joseph's College and also with a BS in exercise science, and also earned an MBA in sport and recreation management from New England College. He was chosen, and this is really something, from an extraordinarily strong field of candidates. We had a significant turnout, and it was difficult to winnow those candidates down to a reasonable number for conducting interviews. We did manage to get it down to, I think, 5 or 6, and so Joseph emerged from that field, and so I'm very pleased that we were able to come to an agreement, and I'm excited, as can be, for him to come to the town. And I should tell you that in our back and forth emails, I get the feeling that you are as well, which is really nice.
Very
and
excited, yes.
you live in Wyndham over in Colonial Park, is that correct?
Correct. Yeah.
And you're a Tassel Top season pass holder for a couple of years.
Yes.
And so we're excited. And I think it's going to be a great challenge, but a challenge that we're all up to. And so we'll talk about an agenda and a work plan and this recreation department and program going forward. We're going to be counting on you, but there are a lot of people around that are willing to help. I've had a number of professional rec directors and others who have stepped up and said, you know, they have ideas. Everybody has ideas and input they want to give. So you'll have a plethora of ideas and input. So that's always nice. Starting salary would be $57,000 after successful completion of the probationary period. I think we decided on 60. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And so that's where it's at, and we will look forward to you coming, pending Board of Selectmen appointment, on the 18th. So coming right up.
Yep.
And I say, Lewiston's loss, our gain. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
I should.
No. Any questions and comments?
No, just a comment. Everybody, a lot of people are looking forward to having you in town. They really are, and they're looking forward to seeing what you can do and stuff like that, and pulling. You're kind of going to be like the glue pulling together a lot of groups. That's what it is. So welcome.
Yes, it seems like everyone's, I mean, just from some of the people who've reached out, and it's been very warm welcome, and that's exactly what I think anyone wants to, have when they accept a new position. So it seems like a lot of people have worked hard to provide programs and services without having a recreation department. So really looking forward to learning about that as well.
Yeah.
We're really looking forward to having you here, even though you're from Wyndham.
I do live 30 feet away from Raymond at the conservation land, so
Taxes to Wyndham.
I can walk over the line. Thank you.
And I think it's, you mentioned it, but I think it's important to reiterate the town has had a very strong base of
Yes.
volunteers in the rec department, and this is by no means asking any of them to step away. In fact, it's giving them some more support in the things that they do. So, we're really looking forward to that moving forward and getting things for both the kids and the seniors and everyone in between. So.
It seems like a very active community from 0 to 100, so it's going to be very exciting to meet everyone and start learning what's already here and how I can help.
Is there a motion to?
Motion to appoint Joseph Crocker as our new Raymond Rec Director.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Welcome aboard.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And don't hesitate, go into Lorraine. She puts in some great articles.
You're welcome to
When she's ready.
You're welcome to stay, and I also know you have a young child, so you're also
She's
invited if you want to go home and spend some time with your family. Do that too.
Yes, she.
Keep it
I love things that want to stay, but, you know, not everybody. It's not for everybody.
Well, quick claim deeds are pretty exciting.
When you talk about Lorraine, be aware that she's also from Wyndham.
I've met Lorraine. She's made some articles before. I say
Did
on
you want
ad
to
hoc
get a picture?
committees,
I
so-
know she talked about
Yes,
that.
we got pictures.
Oh, you got pictures, good, okay,
They're
good.
good ones too.
All right,
Gonna
very
do a
good.
selfie with the two of you.
Okay, who-
Where are we going now?
Well, where we're going now is, once he starts, he's going to be, I guess, in the town office initially. We don't have an overabundance, as you may know, of space, but we're gonna put him in the back office, the office with Kayla at first, and of course, that's one day a week that we have Kurt, so I'll have to shuffle you to a different office within the town office on that day. We have a desktop set up. You can remote access any desktop in the office. Kevin, our tech guy, will set that up. We have a laptop ordered. As we discussed, we're going to provide a take-home, vehicle, which would be a work vehicle. Normally it's with Raymond only, but you're right on the border of Raymond. My first priority will be to get with you and to talk about a work plan that envisions, maybe a 6-month increment and then a 1-year increment at least. But first and foremost, it's going to be starting up Tasseltop successfully, the beach, and making sure that we have the staffing that we need for that and the operational plan. And that's going to require, it's going to require some help from a former employee that has come back for several years, and so I think he'd be willing to help. Nathan's going to be integral to that. Nathan White, our Public Works Director. We're going to have to get with the people on the committee who know about it, and try to figure out exactly what it's going to take to get that operational. We'll do that. That's probably the top and first priority. But I think to have I would say having some benchmarks and some plans, and to get you out to meet all of the different recreation user groups. You'll be spending time out of the office. I would expect doing that. You should also expect probably some evenings, significant evenings in the beginning, to getting to know the different, program leaders. And, I'd like to talk with the neighboring towns. I mean, these are down the road things. Talk with the school, talk with the Raymond Age Friendly Group, talk to all the different potential user groups, all the different stakeholders who might benefit from recreation, and that's a lot of stakeholders. And of course, first and foremost, I'd probably say, what do you think we should do first, having heard those priorities? Because you're the professional and you're the guy who I'll look to help me to develop a plan for the board and for anybody else who needs to pass on that.
Yeah, definitely have some ideas. And
But my major thing though is to keep the volunteers. We have active volunteers, engaged volunteers. I want to keep that program rolling.
I believe I said in the article, we need to grow organically, so shouldn't force anything. And definitely, I think once I have a pretty good picture, but once I start meeting with these potential user groups, then I can really formulate that strategic plan going forward.
And we did, Rita and I did take the invitation. I think we also referenced you that we met with a retired rec director who had started a department in New Hampshire, and we took copious notes, and he was very interesting, and he lives in a neighboring town, retired town manager now, went from rec director to town manager, but he said one of the things that we have to be most cognizant of is not to overload you all at once with a work plan that's undoable.
Right.
So you have to break it into reasonable increments, and so that's why I think a step-by-step progression as we work into this. But
Right.
I figured we would talk about that and figure something out.
Well, Steve Crockett too. He's the chair of
Yes.
Tasseltop.
Right.
So he's a big wealth of information.
Yeah.
And
Right.
Marcia was on the board too. So.
Right.
Yeah, there are people around who know the operations, and so that's what we'll do.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Consideration of issuing quitclaim deeds. Who's going to run that one?
So we have a quitclaim deed for Colleen Odom, is that correct? Colleen Odom? Drew Colleen Odom? Drew and Colleen Odom, okay. So all taxes, interest, penalties have been paid in full, and it's time to release our interest in this particular property pending your approval and signature. Quitclaim deed, release deed.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
The motion on the floor is to approve the quitclaim deed for, is described in map 6, lot 032, for Drew Colleen Odom. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried.
Good evening.
Good night.
Next item is...
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
And also, if I didn't say so before, thank you to the committee. I know you guys put some time in a blizzard. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, next item is consideration of funding source for emergency furnace repair in the public safety building. Bruce?
Bruce can give an outline of the problem, and
Yeah.
Kathy and I will give an outline of the solution possible.
Right.
Sounds like a plan. All right, so, real brief outline. In November, we started by having our first heating unit failure, one of the attic units, and on an emergency basis replaced that from budget. When the gentleman came through the door and he looked at everything, he said, you better start planning to replace the others, and boy, he wasn't kidding. He said these things are only good for about 15 years, so they're 17, 18 now, and they're on borrowed time. Being commercial stuff, that's, I guess, the life cycle, which I was not aware of, unfortunately. So we started to put together a CIP budget and had that included in this year's budget package. Unfortunately, since then, 2 more of the 4 total units, the air handler heat units, have failed. One of them is being held together with Band-Aids right now, and the new one's in the basement waiting to go in. The other one's totally been replaced with a crack heat exchanger. So that left us looking for funding and how to do this on an emergency basis. In the winter, we had to have heat, so being responsive, this company initially came right out, like the day we notified him, got the stuff here and replaced the furnace the next day, which was great. That was the first unit in the attic. When the others went, he was also very responsive and came out very quickly, and in fact had his wife pick one of the units up on her way through Scarborough as he was en route from coming in from, I think, Harrison, and kind of converged on our station, and were able to throw this other unit in because he knew what was wrong with it at that point. So that's where we're at, and unfortunately, unexpectedly, we have to replace these things, and they're tied with coils, with air conditioning compressors, everything all kind of works together and into a different refrigerant now, so that's what we have to do, is change all of this out at the same time. And that's where we are.
Can I ask a question? I guess you said there's 2 running, but there's 3 that need to be repaired, right?
Yeah. Well,
Am I missing one of the prices?
so initially there was the one that we replaced out of budget, thinking we had to do something right now, so
Yeah.
that one's already done and out of the way. So there's 3 units that will be replaced.
Well, and that's what I thought, but I only
Yes.
saw 2 prices here. That's what I was wondering.
When I was looking at
There is
the
a
quotes, it seemed like it was kind of a little
an
all
addendum
over
to
the
it.
place. I mean, there was one that was 17, one that was 10, one that was, you know.
Yeah, the total is,
No, you have to total those
You
together.
have to
Total
take, you have
together.
to take the 78 plus the 10.
Yeah.
So you get from the one,
That's
the other
right,
one
that's 17.
had both units.
correct.
So there was about $250 difference between the 2.
Yeah.
If I'm reading correctly.
That's about right, without having them right in front of me to go with.
We decided to go with the quote that we selected, even though it was slightly higher, because they are a provider now. They were more responsive right now, and we're able to do an emergency repair right now. And so, despite this small difference, I guess, on account of the small difference, we think that was the right move.
Well, I think
We didn't have another choice, I guess.
Well, I mean, they demonstrated they were able to get in there and get the thing done, so, I mean, essentially, all things being considered, you had equal quotes. I mean,
Yes.
on something of that magnitude, a difference of a couple $100 is not a difference. So.
Correct.
So, has he now then, because what do we have for units left that have not failed?
There's the one that's held together by Band-Aids and baling twine. That's gonna be out, I think it's this week. That one's out of the basement and replaced. The last one will be the attic unit that's on the far end, and that's just something we gotta coordinate. It's running right now.
Okay,
but
so
we gotta
that's gonna,
coordinate
you're
that.
gonna factor that one into the CIP for this budget?
That one's in those figures there as a will be failing. We know it will be. So
Well,
it's one of those three that's in your quotes.
This 17K here,
Yes, yes.
this is separate, but you've got another unit, that's what I'm saying, that other unit's gonna go into the CIP?
They're all included in that 17.
They're all in the
Yeah,
17.
they're all in there,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, now I'm confused.
Yeah, because I'm counting 3, but only 2 prices, that, yeah.
I'm counting 4,
That's-
but only seeing
Yeah,
3.
so one quote
Well,
should
no,
list,
let me say it my
Sorry.
way and see if
Okay.
I'm right.
Sorry.
okay,
One is in the barn, paid for, done.
yes,
We've got 3 more units, 17,000.
correct.
Takes care of all those.
Takes
But-
care of all three.
But where did you get that money is that gonna cut you short for something
I
else?
took
Well, that's the second part of it, which we're gonna talk about.
We took it for building maintenance just because it was,
amazing.
remembering the dates, it was right around Thanksgiving and this thing failed and it was going to be sub-zero pretty close
Yeah.
that week, right at zeros, which is unusual in November, but we were headed there and so I pulled the trigger and we just did it and got it done.
But you've kind of borrowed from one account or something else. The other
We hadn't
question,
planned on it, you're right.
what about this building down here then?
This building, when it was rehabbed, we went with a condensing boiler, and this unit isn't 10 years old yet. And so it's a different style heating unit. And
Okay.
shouldn't, but we're gonna follow through because I have just a larger one of those for the radiant heat in the floor at this station. Again, fairly new though, we've upgraded both of those in
Okay.
recent past, if that makes sense.
Rolf had contacted me, and I've spoken with Nathan.
Mm-hmm.
Nathan, generally takes care of all the furnaces, and he said that he would put together an inventory and tell us where we're at. We can probably work with Kathy on that, so we can schedule out.
Yeah.
But I think that it was just a misunderstanding of the longevity of these units, where I guess
Yes.
you did find that out when the first one failed.
When the first
Some
one
people
failed.
thought they, had a longer useful life apparently, but I think otherwise, I mean, Nathan has done a good job of checking on the boilers and, gauging their condition and replacing them. I think they're in good shape otherwise.
Yeah.
The others are all,
Yeah,
but
we-
I say that, but time passes, so, I mean, it may be,
We have
maybe
regular
maybe we've got
maintenance
some that
done
are
on
15
them,
years
so-
old now,
Yeah.
but they're not what was here
Right.
when I came, which were,
No.
basically all ancient units. They're all modern units.
But as far as I understand too, these new units have a higher efficiency and
Yes.
a longer life expectancy.
They have a higher efficiency. I'm also told though to plan on 15 years, but if you get more out of them, just have the money available just in case. I guess with the hot air units, the air handler style units, that's their life expectancy. Now, we gotta remember now, even though they're not heating in the summertime, they're your air conditioning
Right.
and they're moving air throughout a building constantly, 24/7. So they are always running.
Good.
So it's a kind of a combination system.
Do you know how much that other one was that took out of your other budget? Sorry.
That was the cheapest of all because the outside condenser had already been replaced. So that was, I think, I want to say 4,400
Oh, wow.
ish.
Who was that? Who was
That
the
first
vendor?
one, and that was Donnelly's. Donnelly's.
Oh, it was for something.
Four,
yeah.
four and change, middle 4 and change. Yeah.
So do you want to talk funding?
Yeah, let's talk about, essentially we've got there's three potential avenues.
Yep. Can we go in?
Go ahead.
Okay, so the three potential avenues that we've identified are the contingency, which is whole right now at 75K. We can borrow from our current year Public Safety Department CIP and replenish in the FY 2021 budget, or we could take from the TIF where we have $42,229 available.
Okay, so I'm assuming if you go the TIF route, you're calling that acquisition and construction of municipal equipment and facilities?
Are we calling it that, Kathy?
I thought we'd call it public safety, but either one would fit.
Well, I mean, just looking at the allowable uses we
Yeah.
quoted in the TIF, that would be, it's public safety equipment and municipal facilities.
Yes.
So
Yep.
that would,
That
Yeah, that
fit.
would-
that's you'd qualify it as that.
I know we're splitting hairs here, but my opinion is, I don't think it belongs in the TIF, nor do I think it belongs in the CIP because it's not new equipment. It's repairs and replacements. So I think it should go into just whatever's in the piggy bank, and that's the end of that.
Are you talking contingency, or
Yes.
That's
the
what I would say
contingency.
too.
it's an unanticipated emergency repair?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
If it
what
was
it's
new
for,
equipment,
yeah,
or
yeah.
if we're adding on to equipment, fine. Now you've got a capital improvement that you can depreciate out if you want to, but
Well, you
that's
put-
not the case here. It's a replacement of an existing equipment, so.
But you put the ambulances, when you switch them out in the trucks, in the CIP.
Correct.
Yeah, to me,
Yeah.
that's not the same thing either.
No.
Yeah.
So essentially, essentially what I'm hearing, we got the three, what I'm hearing is there's more favor towards using the our emergency reserve
Yeah.
funds, which is what we're authorized up to 75,000 for, so.
I think the first question is, do we go forward with the expense? And I think the answer to that is yes.
Well, I've already,
I didn't see a motion, but anyway. And then the second part of that is where do we get the money, and the money
Yeah.
comes out of the emergency
yeah, I mean,
fund.
the fact of the matter is, do you go forward with it? Well, you have
You
the
have
choice
to
of
go forward.
having no heat or heat, so
Right.
I think we
made that decision.
I think the
I
logic
understand.
is we have heat.
Because of the off-budget nature of this, I did consult with Rolf, and, I'm with Rolf's assessment, which is, they're all the same age, it makes sense to do them all.
I agree.
I mean,
I agree.
the options we had there was we could have tried to repair them,
No.
and you repair them and you have a 15-year-old thing that's been repaired. Or you replace it with the new ones, which is incrementally a little bit more, but now you have a new unit instead of a repaired 15-year-old unit with a higher efficiency and whatnot, so. I mean, it's one of those that, from any economic standpoint,
Absolutely.
Can I throw a third
makes,
question in there?
makes, that's the logical step to take.
Can I throw a third question in there?
You can throw in as many you want.
Well, and I keep going back to the other thing, but you have that money earmarked, the building maintenance, for other things. So if we're gonna take it out of contingency, then do we reimburse him for that 4,001 also then?
Good.
Because he's already got his budget done, he's got his budget earmarked right now for certain things. So meanwhile, you just dip down whatever that amount is, and if we're gonna take it out for, I say take it out for all three.
Did you make any adjustments to FY21 budget for this event?
I had put in the capital plan for it.
So you would remove that if we just.
That would be removed from,
Fine.
yes, correct.
I mean, your other option there is instead of you take the 17, we approve that out of contingency now.
Right.
If we had to come back at some other time because he had, something else, or if he did some shifting there, that's kind of part and parcel of what CIP does too. If you moved money out of something else in your CIP and shifted that, you just rebuild that back in, so you still haven't lost. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, but I think.
That's all you've done.
That was
You
slow.
just shifted a priority, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the
I mean, really, it's.
trade one, trade
Yeah.
another, yeah.
Yeah.
So-
I mean, the fact is, I think where Teresa's concern is, are you shortchanging yourself on something that's gonna be a that you
Right.
need for this year?
Yes.
Right,
You know,
yes.
and if that's the case, then that's, we look at one, if it's okay, all we're gonna do is, we're just moving money from one year to the other. That's slightly different. That says, okay, that's what the CIP exists for.
So you're gonna need a motion to take it out of for all of us to take it out of the contingency.
Correct.
So I make a motion to take the emergency money out of the contingency.
The full amount,
Well,
all 4 units.
That's what the second question was gonna be, as for what the amount is.
Okay. So then what you're moving in would be
21,000 something.
you'd be, yeah,
The 10-9,
17.
7,850.
50
This
plus.
is a good long article here.
We keep you
So
entertained.
21,850.
21,850?
Move 21,850.
So what you're doing is you're moving to allow this
21,850 coming out of the contingency
21,850.
for the emergency repairs.
Is there a second?
I second.
The motion on the table is to use 21,850 out of contingency for the heating repairs. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bruce.
thank you.
God, when he said that went, it was like, that was like really low temperatures. Yeah,
you're not
I
kidding.
remember seeing that.
Okay, item number D is consideration of financial implications related to the change in Cumberland County's fiscal year. Don.
It's so nicely put.
Well, I have a memo here from our finance director, which I could read, or I could give you the Reader's Digest version.
The Reader's Digest is.
Reader's Digest version. They're changing their
Use the
fiscal
bank.
year, and so they're going to need an additional 6-month assessment. It isn't going to affect us in this budget year, but next budget year, we have the option to pay it off all at once or over 5 years. Your choice.
It's not the 21, it's not the
No,
budget
that's
we're
what I said.
working on.
It's not the one we're working on, not this year's or next year's. It's the year after.
Right. And I did, in my memo, but what they want to know, I have it.
Okay.
What they want to know is, by November, is how are we going to do this? Are we going to pay all 6 months, or they'll give us up to 5 years to pay it off? But they want to know in November so that they can crunch the numbers and see who's willing to actually make that budget. So I did, if we paid it all at once, it would be about 38 cents on the mill rate. If we went over 5 years, it would be 8 cents. If we went over 4 years, it would be 10 cents. Over 3 years, it would be 13 cents per year. And then over 2 years, it would be 19 cents per year.
What's the total dollar amount we're talking about? 400,000?
Almost, yeah, basically. I mean, that budget for the 6-month period has not been set yet.
But
So-
they're
I
not
understand,
penalizing
but
us
it'll
for
be
the
around
payment
those.
plan as
Right.
far as we know.
And there's
Right.
the issue is, if we go the 5-year plan, there's no interest, there's no additional
That's
fees
the
on
answer
there.
then.
So I
That's
mean,
the
so the logic would say, why would you
Yes.
pay it all up front when you can spread it out over 5 years?
only- Exactly.
Yeah.
When does this decision need to be made?
It says November. They
But
want to
when
know
do
by,
When do we need to make the decision here?
I don't know.
I'd make
Does
now
it
so
need
we
to
have
be a
it.
town meeting decision?
No,
If it's
No.
part of the
No.
budget?
no, because it's then gonna get
Use their money.
integrated into the budget. What you'll have going forward is you'll have the county budget plus a supplemental.
Okay.
So you'll have a total amount that you're approving for the county tax, but it'll consist of 2 elements. Because you have the current, you'll have that existing year's budget plus that,
So if it's just a select, I mean, you could make it tonight and just be done with it.
Yeah.
And then I'll email them
I think
tomorrow.
if staff had a recommendation, I think we would say no interest 5 years.
Absolutely.
I would agree with that, but I would like to postpone this decision for 30 days.
Okay.
Why?
It'll become apparent.
okay, so your motion is to table the.
I would like to table this for 30 days, right, but I agree with the 5-year plan.
I second that motion. To table for 5.
Is there, all those in favor of tabling? Opposed? The motion is, the article is tabled until next meeting.
Thank
Good.
you. Thank you.
That may be slightly more than 30 days,
Whatever the next,
the next meeting.
table to the next meeting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Next item is RSU 14 Withdrawal Committee update, which is, the update at this point is there is a meeting scheduled for later this week between our negotiating team and their negotiating team to hammer out the final few minor items in the separation agreement. We then will, once we have that, then we'll bring the committee back together and start hammering through and getting the rest things set up so that we can start getting ready for public meetings and things like that on costs and things like that, and Marshall's group is working on getting a budget pulled together. And when's your technology meeting? Has that been set yet?
I'm not sure what you
The
are
what?
asking. The 2 technology directors have met.
They have, okay.
Yes,
So they did get together. Okay,
yes.
good. 'Cause that was kind of a holdup, is that you weren't able to get them together.
The skies are sunny and the airplane is lifted off.
Ah, excellent. So once the negotiating teams come back, then we'll schedule the next meeting, and that will be publicized. I haven't seen any new updates from the survey that's on the on the web, but that still is out there for anyone that has not participated in that, to go in and put in your comments. And on that survey, there's a link right off the town website under the RSU 14 withdrawal committee button. Public comment. Selectman comment.
We have another month. I would like to have some names for the Spirit of America Award. If anybody has any, they can funnel them through Sue, if she wouldn't mind receiving those. I would like to close that out by the end of March. There are 2 possibilities at this point.
When are the scholarship applications due in?
April 30th,
April 30th, so we won't see that, that'll be a May
yes.
meeting, okay. Other comments? Town manager report.
Okay, confirming dates for upcoming regular meetings, March 10th and April 21st. And that's also the date to review the town meeting warrant. Good with those?
Yes?
So reminder of upcoming holiday schedule, Monday, February 17th, President's Day. Reminder of upcoming election schedule, February 27th. Deadline to request absentee ballots, March 3rd. Presidential primary and special referendum election. Reminder of upcoming budget schedule, February 25th. Town manager submits budget to SelectBoard, March 3rd. First budget review session, March 17th. Second budget review session.
On that February 25th, that submitting the budget to the select board as well as the budget committee?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And budget committee.
What is your deadline for gathering information?
Oh, the deadline for gathering information is probably open, I would say open and flexible, but it's passed, but we're open and flexible. If there's something that needs to happen, it can still happen, but
Okay.
it's passed.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
But this happens every year too, though, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
One piece on the election that I left out is our local election, and nomination papers will be available March 3rd.
March 3rd? Okay. And when do they have to be in?
That's a very good question.
So
Off the
before top, you
I
use that
don't have
now.
that. 45 days
Yeah.
later, yes.
April 3rd.
What,
Election.
For the municipal officers?
Local elections.
Local officers,
Yes,
the select board, budget, finance,
and school board.
and school board.
I reminded him he's running, he's up for election.
Okay. Treasurer's warrant. Sam?
Wake 'em up.
You have to,
Oh, he just
You have
jumped.
to move it first.
here you go. Move it?
Yeah, no. Move it in the amount of, no. You're making a motion to accept the treasurer's warrant at
Oh, that's-
$116,569.09.
That was,
what I just
that
heard
was
you say,
Sam's
right?
voice.
Yeah, I just said that.
I'll second that.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Pass it down to a veteran.
You're gonna sit in the upper chair, Sam, you gotta do this responsibilities now.
No, 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 no.
That's right.
I knew I heard you say that.
I'm gonna be Nancy Pelosi.
Get that signed.
Yeah,
Next,
nothing's gonna get done down at this.
next item is a motion to go into executive session. You gonna make that, Marshall?
I don't have the,
Motion to go into executive session pursuant to MRSA Section 405-6A, consideration of personnel issue.
second, thank you.
All those in favor? Okay. We are in executive session, so we'll ask Okay, can I have a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor? Okay, results of executive session is we were asking Marcia to continue working on the budget as he is doing. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Meeting is adjourned.